Hello, Flosstube. It's Sarah. Today is Saturday, August 5th, and we're going to talk about cross stitch. It's been a busy summer. This coming week is my last week of summer break before we start the school year here in Columbus. I'm kind of looking forward to the school year starting, but I know that once it does start, I will be sad not to have as much free time to do cross stitch and do other things. But I'm hoping to keep up with cross stitch and be able to show you guys what I'm doing. So let's get into it. We'll start with the WIPs. I'm still using this canvas tote bag to keep everything in. And we're going to start with what's in here. This has kind of become my travel stitch pouch, and I just make sure to keep this little pouch with my scissors and needle in here. And then when I'm on my way out somewhere, I usually grab this and stick it in my purse and take it with me. So I have been cross stitching while waiting for my oil to get changed. I've been cross stitching while at pub trivia that my friends and I go to every week. Where else? I stitched a little bit on a road trip, not while I was driving, but while everyone was driving, and we had to sit in a traffic jam for a while, so it wasn't even like bumpy because we were just sitting there. Whipped out my cross stitch and got some stuff done. So first, we're going to look at the Maneki Neko. Here is what it looked like last time. And here she is now. Here she is. So I've been going a little bit slowly on this one because, again, this is the easiest one to take with me and travel with because it's small. I've been stitching in hand. I've just been sort of rolling up the edge and holding it and stitching, and she's been everywhere with me. She's been having a great time seeing all the sights of Sarah's life. Yeah, so again, going slowly with this one because I'm mostly doing it when I can't be using my iPad or don't want to be using a hoop. And as I've said, the way that I made this pattern was I uploaded a poster image that I found on Pinterest to Pixel Stitch, which created a pattern for me from that image. I did some editing to the poster image first, uploaded it to Pixel Stitch, and then downloaded that file into Excel, which is where I did my final small edits and got my pattern. It's a I would say it's an easy process, but it can be tedious. And if you're not super confident with Excel, that part of it can be a little bit tricky, but I'd be happy to make like a tutorial explanation video about how I make my own patterns from scratch in Excel and then also use Pixel Stitch to make patterns because I really like making my own patterns, and if any of you out there want to make your own, I'd be happy to show you what I do. On to project number 2, which is a new start, except that I've been doing it for quite a while. I forget exactly what date I started. I'll throw that up here. You know what, actually, let's check on that. I've actually been working on it since July 14th, so almost a month, but I haven't shown it to you guys yet. And I think it's a project that I forgot to mention in my last video that I was planning to do and had I had the pattern ready to go and I had all my materials. I just hadn't started it yet, partially because I forgot to bring the fabric and thread with me to the lake. So when I got back, I started this. She looks a little creepy because of the mouth and nose area being kind of unfinished, but it is going to be a portrait of Toni Morrison. And I'll put my pattern up there. So this is another pattern where it's similar to the Ilhan Omar portrait. Excuse me. So this is a similar portrait and process to my Ilhan Omar portrait, where I found a picture of Toni Morrison that was sort of in profile and kind of dramatically lit, so I knew it would give me some good light and dark contrast, and I put that picture into Pixel Stitch. I think first I edited the colors to kind of make it more of a monotone kind of brown color scheme. And I put that image into Pixel Stitch and then downloaded it in Excel. And I added a quote. Initially, I had a quote from the only Toni Morrison book. Oh, no, I've read 2 of her books. I've read Song of Solomon in high school, and more recently I read Beloved, and it's one of my new favorite books. It's a powerful, really good book. Initially I had a quote from Beloved that said, definitions belong to the definers, not the defined, which I liked, but didn't love. So I went looking through a bunch more of her quotes to pick one out that I liked a little more. I liked the one that I chose, and I plan to hang this up in my school office. This one's going pretty fast too. I mean, eventually when I get to all the little confetti parts, that'll take longer, maybe? I don't know. I'm also trying to do this one. I'm trying to do the outlines of the lightest color so that if I'm somewhere where it's not easy to use my iPad to look at the pattern, I can just fill it in confidently knowing that this is all that pale color. One more thing I wanted to show you on this little pouch before I put it back away is this new little pin that I got. It's so cute. I got it and one other pin at this shop called Handmade and More in New Paltz, New York. We were there visiting some family and stopped in at this shop, and I'll throw up a picture. These pins were near the register and I had to stop myself from buying a huge handful of them because they were all pretty funny and pretty cute. And this one I've added a magnet on the underside, so occasionally I'll use it as a needle minder, but I just leave it on this pouch. I don't stick it to my project. And one thing I've been wondering about needle minders that maybe somebody can answer for me is, are they a pin that you pin to the fabric and put it through like the Aida holes? Or is it all magnet and it like sticks to the fabric just with a magnet and not a pin going through the holes? Because my concern would be that the pin would make the holes bigger, or maybe I'd be worried about it damaging the fabric or making it dirty or something. So enlighten me. Here's the other little pin. I've been keeping it on my sort of summer purse. It says, too cute to care. And I just love that little cat face. Yeah. Last, but as you know, not least, if you've watched my 2 other videos, is the project that I have been having the most fun with. It's the most colorful. I really like the level of difficulty. It is Thundercats. There they are. So I finished, since you last saw it, here's what it looked like. Oh, I forgot to do that first. Here's what it looked like before. Maybe I'll be able to stick that in before I pull it out. I think so. I finished Tigra. So I finished Tigra. Over here, we've got Chitara and Panthro. And I looked up this one and the next one's names, and now I forget. There's something like Kit Kat or Wily Cat? Something like that? Wily Kit and Wily Cat? Is that right? I don't know. I don't have to learn their names until I finish their face, so. But yeah, this one is a gift for a friend. Maneki Neko is also a gift for a friend. And then Toni Morrison is going to hang in my office. That's a gift for myself. Last time I showed the Rochester house portrait that I'd finished. I still need to wash and iron and frame that. Next up, we have a fully finished object, surprise, That's something that I forgot to include in my first video, a project that I had finished before I started making these videos. And I will show it to you. It was a gift for Evan. So it is a quote that I really like from Joanna Macy, who I believe is like a researcher, naturalist. The quote is, "To be alive in this beautiful, self-organizing universe, to participate in the dance of life, with senses to perceive it, lungs that breathe it in, organs that draw nourishment from it, is a wonder beyond words." And I just really love that quote. And then I included two sort of little bird images around it. And these are birds that I was able to find pictures of on Pinterest, but it was hard to actually find the patterns for them. They seem to be from some Eastern European country. The language on the little pictures of the patterns that I could see was in a foreign language that I couldn't read, but they were pretty easy to figure out. And again, I made this pattern in Excel, sort of referencing the birds, and then this font, I'll throw down the website where I got this font from. Yeah, it's a good website where you can type out bits of text in a few different fonts. One new thing that I've started doing is railroading. And I started doing it and realized I was railroading and realized that I hadn't understood what railroading was before. I'll try to demonstrate on, close up what I mean, what I thought railroading was, and then what it actually is. I thought it was where you, as you're putting your needle in, you go through the two threads of something you've already stitched, like the one that's also sharing the corner with your next stitch. But then when I was doing it and making it lie flatter, I realized, oh no, you're going through the threads you're using to railroad. Can't do this one-handed. And yeah, that does make it lie flatter, and it does slow me down a little bit, but I kind of like that because it makes it a more mindful, less anxious process. And that's really the whole point, is relaxing and doing this for fun, and doing it slowly. And since I've been doing it so often, the projects still make a lot of progress because I have been doing it at least once a day, if not twice a day sometimes. Are you ready for a random little surprise that has nothing to do with cross stitch? I got these little, it's sticky notes. It's a little pad of sticky notes from a local consignment shop that has mostly like antiques and secondhand items, but also has some like cute little artsy things. Yeah, milkweed sticky notes. I just thought they were funny. And Evan and I sometimes leave each other notes around the house, especially because we often go to bed or get up at different times, since I get up so early to work, to go to school. And yeah, sometimes we leave each other little sticky notes, so I thought these would be fun to do that with. All right. I don't know that I have much else to share. Oh, I did have one question. I mentioned that I would like to do a temperature cross stitch sometime soon, and I'd love your suggestions for the colors or range of colors to use. If you've done one before if you liked the colors, please feel free to comment below and give me some suggestions of colors to use, because I think I'm going to kind of pick those out on my own. Yeah. And lastly, I will leave you with a random useful tip. It's been super hot in Columbus, and in some of the places we visited this summer. And I am someone who has a very narrow range of temperature comfort. Like, I get cold easily, I get too hot easily. And my new favorite thing are bandanas, like handkerchiefs. I'll go grab one. Ta-da! So I just have 4 or 5 of these bandanas and handkerchiefs. And I learned this technique 2 summers ago when we took a big trip to a bunch of national parks in the Southwest, mostly in Utah. I learned about evaporative cooling, which is you get this damp or even like very wet, and then you hold it to your face, to your neck. You can like hang it around your neck. And the water against your skin helps heat evaporate. Maybe? Science? And then it's nice to wipe sweat. I also used one of these, or a couple of them, a bunch, last summer when we were in southern England, and I got that pouch I showed you in the last video. I used this as a big handkerchief because unfortunately Evan and I both got COVID at the academic conference we went to in England. Lots of people there got it, and we still had a great trip. We just stayed away from people. Mostly our trip was doing things outside, like hiking. So we were able to do most things that we'd planned to do, but I just had this kind of tucked in my purse strap, or like even in my shirt, and I would just, cough or wipe my nose with it. And then I think I washed it in the hotel sink and would let it dry and use a different one the next day. So very handy and sustainable and cute. You're welcome. Yeah.